You're listening to For God, Country, and Sanity, How Catholics Can Save America. Presented by Catholic Vote. Narrated by Gift Arudo. Introduction. The old playbook is dead. American Catholics must find the courage to tell the truth about where our country is headed, and how we have a much different vision for where America needs to go. Brian Birch. We are at war. Not a literal war, thank God, but a war nonetheless. No doubt you've heard this phrase used in politics before. The war on poverty, the war on drugs, the culture war, and on and on. Every election, we are told, is existential. If we lose, it will be the end of the United States of America as we know it. Catholics know better, in two ways. First, we've been present in this country since before it began. Our memory is long. We lived through the Civil War, the Great Depression, Vietnam, and every other upheaval this nation has ever faced. Often, not always, but often, we came out of each crisis stronger. Both Americans as a whole, and Catholic Americans in particular. But our previous triumphs were due in large part to the nation's moral fabric and Christian heritage, which itself owed much to classical antiquity and to medieval Christendom, which is to say, the Western tradition which cannot be understood without Catholicism. As we approach the quarter point of the 21st century and the semi-quincentennial or 250th anniversary of the American Republic, those Christian foundations have been seriously eroded. Many young people tell pollsters they're not proud to be Americans. We see the rise of the nones, Americans who spurn organized religion altogether. The percentage of our population that is Christian has dropped precipitously in just the last 30 years. Thus it is, in this second way, that Catholics also know better, in a sense that cuts against the first way. Catholics have been around for 2,000 years. We have seen empires rise and fall. We know better than many of our fellow Americans how fragile a civilization can be. It is in this second sense that Catholic Americans cannot afford to be cynical when they hear that we face an existential crisis in the upcoming election. Our mystic chords of memory, to borrow Lincoln's phrase, are making a disturbingly familiar sound. If you have family who come from formerly communist countries, you know what I mean. It's akin to the way animals react when they know an earthquake is coming. Every time there is some overreach by our government, assault on our moral habits and institutions, or overt weaponization of the state against believers or dissenters of the new secular gods, you can see their anxiety building. They have seen this movie before. They never thought it would happen here, but here is where they are. Here is where we all are. That is why Catholic Vote made the decision to publish this book. We are indeed standing upon a precipice as we approach this election, a crossroads. That it sounds like a cliché does not make it false. Indeed, that it was said in past election cycles does not mean it was false then either. Some elections have indeed been existential. How much worse off might America be today if Abraham Lincoln had lost the elections of 1860 or 1864, or if Ronald Reagan had lost the elections of the 1980s? Closer to our own time, and more to the point, how much better off might America be today if Barack Obama had not won the elections of 2008 and 2012? Ronald Reagan and Barack Obama were the two most consequential presidents
Sample complete. Ready to continue?